Again, I was sent this. And this isn't the first thing that I've been sent like this. Someone said, "Hi, Eric. Wanted to send this to you after my class this morning, and I felt the timing was too perfect not to share." This is also adding Corey DeAngelis, which we had on the show not too long ago. I believe episode 60 of For Canon's Sake. Please go watch that. He had a lot of insight on like school choice and stuff like that. This is required for all students in my school to watch. It's about 3 to 10 minutes videos per activity until you are at 100%. And what does it say? Diversity and inclusion. And one of these sections seem to be becoming a better ally. You can also go. Blaze did a Glenn Beck definitely had some in Jacobulians. Was also part of that and getting some of that information. I don't think y'all understand how much. Some of y'all don't understand how rotten public educational system is, but I don't think y'all understand what they're teaching your kids at all. And this is why, to me, it's kind of alarming that people have no issues dropping their kids off into these indoctrination camps, and then they walk out confused as to why so many of these youngsters would act in the way that they act. What do you think they're getting the information from? Where do you think they're getting it from? And it runs deep. But yeah, go watch that special that Glenn did. And like I said, Jacobulians was part of that as well. And seeing like some of with the curriculum and this just Marxist bullcrap that they're sort of gonna shove down the throats of your kids at these indoctrination camps. And it's something else, huh? Like, I anticipated this is the direction that it was gonna go in, but to see this kind of come into fruition, it's quite alarming. And this is why when people say, well, it's easy for you to say, you don't have kids yet, that you wouldn't take your kids to the public schools. And I'm like, do you think that I would knowing all of this, I think at that point it could be considered child abuse. If I know how rotten this shit is and I still decide that I'm going to drop them kids off, I don't want my kids nowhere near that system and nowhere near y'all's knothead ass kids. Not a chance that that's happening. It's not a chance. Homeschool or private. That's the only option. There's no way in hell I'm dropping them off at these indoctrination camps. I refuse. It's not a thing. It's not an option, man. But I want to talk about that subject matter, this whole diversity and inclusion. I've done, a bunch of videos discussing this topic at great length, specifically in the comic book and in Hollywood and their sort of overemphasis of diversity and inclusion and representation and these old quack ass terms where they either are awarding people just for being a certain color, just for being a certain gender, and they feel like you must be including them in your affairs. But I've always talked about this concept of diversity, representation, and inclusion. That shit's for fucking losers. It's for losers, right? It's for losers because what you're doing is leading with this idea that people should accept you in the affairs that you claim that they are actually keeping you out of. I'm not interested in that. It's the same reason why I said I don't support Black Lives Matter and a lot of all of these pro-black activists and activist groups who sit up there with their fists in the air and really all they doing is really begging to be accepted by white folk. I'm not interested in that. And it's funny because they be the main ones that call me some sort of coon or something like that. And then meanwhile, they gallivanting with all of these politicians and even legislators and teachers and all these sorts of stuff, buck dancing and bebopping, begging to be accepted and included in their affairs just so white folk can pat them on the head and actually boost themselves up and say, hey, look at me, I'm one of the good guys because I had to segue you in and include you in the affairs because God forbid that you did it on your own. No, you can't do that, Mr. Black Man, Black Woman. We got to do it for you. Not interested. So call me what you want. I'm not interested. Not interested. Never been interested in that shit. Keep that shit away from me. I don't want to be involved in your panels. If you are going to sit here and offer me something, and you're leading with this idea that we want to include you in these affairs, right? That's the thing that we're trying to do. We want to include you. Not interested. If you're not including me because of something based on merit, I don't want anything to do with that. But as I mentioned, if you are one of those white folks who are obsessed to see these corny ass TikToks videos popping up on Twitter about white folk, basically white kids, again, white youngsters, teenagers and 20-year-olds and stuff, talking about that they're so rooted in like white privilege and all of this sort of nonsense, and basically saying that they don't want to have 100% white kids because of it. And all basically they're being taught to hate themselves, but more so it kind of works in the opposite, because what it is it gives them this false perception of being like better than everybody else. And they actually believe that. So you got people that are white and they're bums, and they actually think because these leftists have lectured them about this sort of privilege, they actually think they doing some shit. I already told y'all, I'm not about to sit up here and listen to these white folks, white bums on the internet begging for Marxism and socialism because they ain't got nothing going for them, to sit there and try to lecture me about privilege. I'm way better looking than you are. I'm way more athletic than you are. And I'm getting more money than you. What the hell can you sit up here and lecture me about privilege? No, that is some perceived bullcrap that you've been taught, that they've said, well, you're white, so it comes with all of these things. Absolutely not. No, you're not better than anybody. They just trying to get in these positions of power, and they say that so you can feel bad about being, I don't know, white. Like I said, man, if you're one of those white folk that sit there and apologize for being white, feel like you have to be an ally, meaning that you have to go out of your way to try to form some sort of alliance with someone just for the soul, because they're black or because they're not white, you are a fucking loser, man. Straight up, you're a loser. You're a loser. White people that apologize and self-hating, I told y'all, self-hating white people are among some of the worst people in this world. Also some of the most dangerous, but some of the worst people, man. Get over yourself, man. I don't care what these damn activist groups get to lecturing you about feeling some sort of superior. You ain't shit. Just a regular dude, man. And anybody else, I mean, there's things that you can obtain by way of merit, and that's what you lead with. Me and my band Backwards has a song called You Are You. And, Alex kind of talks about that sort of stuff on his verse part of his part of the song. We kind of split the verses, and we talk. It's two sides. Like the first verse talks about that he says the first lyric is, I won't be held accountable for the hell of the past. I don't owe a penny or a dime to men for their crimes. What he's talking about, and he even says your illusion and apologizing for events you had no part in, it's mass illusion. And I come on the other side, I was like, just due to my skin tone, they apply a path to me. No matter what my ancestry was, I was never a slave. And on the other side, he talks about, on the second verse, Alex talks about how I also don't take credit for things that I had no part in. So it goes both ways. It's like, I'm not going to sit up here and amend for someone else's sins for some crap they did hundreds of years ago. In the same respects, I'm not going to sit here and try to take credit for something that I had no part in achieving. That's the way to live, as far as I'm concerned. This whole ally inclusion bullcrap is nonsense, but it does not surprise me that they are trying to indoctrinate your youngsters at the public education system in regards to like K through 12, and as well as at the university level. And then you sit and wonder why these youngsters come out the way they do. Why are in Portland and Seattle, why are there, and you look at the mug shots and all of that, and it seems that there's teachers that are people that work within the education system that are also a part of those. You wonder why that is the case. We don't get on the other side. We don't get to freedom unless we take the biggest acts we possibly can at the educational system. meaning that it needs to not be reformed. It needs to be eliminated in terms of the public. It needs to be abolished, straight up. It's one of the most rotten things that can possibly exist.